Hello, the internet. I've just spent the last 11 days at Cedar Point, and I thought it'd be fun to make a video ranking in the 17 roller coasters they have at Cedar Point, and to talk about what I like about each of them, what I don't like about each of them, and to do something that no one else will do, give each ride a pitch count. That is to say, how many times I would ride a ride either in a day or in a row, depending on the ride. In some cases, I might have a little of both, and why there's a pitch count. So just kind of a fun, random video. And I'll talk about each ride, kind of in depth. Most of the big names, which obviously I'm nowhere near, by orders and magnitude, they go to so many parks and they ride each ride a couple times and then try to analyze it. Some of these rides I have ridden 10, 20, 30, 40 times over the last 11 days. And so I like to think I have a nice expert opinion on some of these. Of course, my rankings is going to be different than yours because what I'm looking for in a roller coaster, what you're looking for in a roller coaster are going to be completely different. I love airtime. Ejector time's kind of fun. Inversions are nice, but you may like them more than I do, which means that rides with inversions you'll put higher than me. So, and some rides might be too much for you, or you might have certain physical things that apply to you but don't apply to me because I'm 6'3". And so, with the disclaimers out of the way, I'm going to go ahead and start with the bottom 3 rides on my list, because they are all disqualified. There are 17, but I've only ridden 15 of them. So there's 2 that I have ridden, or have not ridden, and will never ride. And so I cannot honestly grade them. So I'm just going to put them at the end of the list. And one I've ridden twice, but absolutely under no circumstance will I ever ride it again. So it is disqualified. All right, so the 2 that I have not ridden are Wilderness Run, because my oldest boy is too big to be allowed to ride that ride, so I can't ride it either. It's not that I don't want to ride it once, but it's probably be a boring ride anyways, because Cedar Point ranks it a thrill level of 2, and all of the other coasters are 4 and 5, which makes no sense. That all the 5s are 5. It's like, yeah, this 5 and that 5 are not the same. But that's how they rank them. So, the second one's Corkscrew. The problem I have with Corkscrew is the shoulder harness. When I got into the car, it was a walk-on because it's never a long line. I got into the car and I was trying to pull the seatbelt up, and the distance between the seatbelt and the buckle that the belt goes into was about 4 inches. I looked up and I went, am I too tall for this ride? Yes, I am. But they were like, oh yeah, no, we got this. And they pushed that shoulder harness so far down that it was bending my spine and just busting my shoulder. And I was like, I am not riding like this. I unbuckled it and got out. And I will never try to ride it again. So it is disqualified because I am 6'3", and that ride is not designed for someone who's 6'3". It's just not. Almost have the same problem with a couple other rides. I'll mention those later. But it worked itself out in the end, sort of. And the third one, which some people are going to dislike, like 10% of you. What's 10% of 0? Oh, that's too many. All right, anyhow. It's Magnum. I rode it once in the back, very back, and it was very, very rough. I don't mind some amount of roughness, like, Blue Streak's pretty rough. But this is just so rough. It's just like, that's too much. I can't handle it. It reminds me of a ride at Holiday World called Raven. That is a ride that is a literal pain in the ass. Not a figurative one, a literal one. your bottom hurts at the end of that ride. It's so bouncy. So I rode it a second time. I try to always give him a second chance. Rode it with my kid so he can get the credit. Tried the third row based on advice on the internet. Don't believe everything on the internet. It was third, 3 or 8, and 8 was already taken, so I took 3. And yeah, it was bad. It was really bad. And I'm like, to use a women's college softball term, World Series term, 2 in barbecue. Magnum is 2 in barbecue, so I won't ride that one again. So that one's a disqualification. It is the lowest on my list of all those 36 total roller coasters overall I've ever ridden. So I'm not a lot. So I'm not an overall expert, but I know something about some of these rides because I've ridden a whole bunch of times. So the real ranking starts now, 5-6 minutes into the video. Which is maybe why no one's ever watching these. Okay, so anyhow, 14th is a literal kiddie coaster. It is Woodstock Express. Last year when I rode it in November, it had some punch for a kiddie ride. I was like, ooh, as a kiddie ride goes, that's a really good kiddie ride. This year, it ran slower. It didn't have the same punch. A little rough. They were having issues with it. Apparently no one could sit in the back 2 rows at the time. Probably not true anymore, but I had to push it down the list. And then down to the bottom of this list, so it's ranked 14. Pitch count. Obviously, the DQs are all pitch count 0. This one would also be pitch count 0 if I was by myself, because this ride is boring. But if I have a kiddo or someone who has the courage of a kiddo, like my brother, and I could convince them to ride it, then I'd ride it, with whoever I'm riding it with. That's fine, as many times as they want to ride it. But if it's just me, I'm not riding it. I'm just not excited enough. 13th place is Iron Dragon, which is really a kiddie ride. I'm gonna call it a kiddie ride. I don't think Cedar Point would consider it a kiddie ride, but it is. The drops just aren't very big. It's not a very exciting ride. It gets a really long line for little kids to ride it, but yeah. If I was by myself, I would not ride this one. But I'd ride it with kids. If my kids want to ride it, I ride it with my kids as many times as they want to ride it. Especially because it's one of the rides for pre-entry. If you're staying at the Cedar Point hotels or if you have a Platinum Pass. Very, very useful because you can usually get 3 or 4 rides before the park officially opens. And that's one of the 3 that are open. That one, Gatekeeper and Millennium Force. So, in 12th place is Wild Mouse, which has even shorter drops than Woodstock. But it has some nice side-to-side spinny stuff. I rode it once with my kid. It just went out of control spinning. I was like, yes, if we could do this every time, this would be great. But most of the time it spins a little bit. Sometimes you go backwards. It's an okay ride, and I get off and they're like, how was it? I'm like, it's okay. Just okay. I'm like, yeah, just okay. So it's an okay ride. I have it at 12th. I mean, it's a kid's ride. It really is. I mean, it gets long lines, but it's a kid's ride. It really is. Would I ride it again by myself? No, I would not. But my kids were with me, and my youngest boy says, I want to ride Wild Mouse. Will you ride it with me? I'm like, absolutely, as many times as you want to ride it. So I'm okay with that. 11th place is Cedar Point Mine Train. It's a very similar ride to a Disney ride called Big Thunder Mountain. Last year, the train was just, at the end of the season, it was going just absolutely berserk and fast. It was just crazy. It was awesome. I actually liked it at that point in time better than Big Thunder Mountain. This year, I don't know what it is, but the punch is not there. It's rough this year, and it just went down for me. And so we did one day, the final day in November, we got the passes for this year and the end of last year. We went one day, and then I went 11 days. So I've been there 12 days. But the first day I was with my kids, so that we didn't ride much. But the mine train, this year it was not as good as Big Thunder Mountain. So I have it way under Big Thunder Mountain now, and in 11th place. Boy, that bar, when they put it down, even with my feet all the way back, is so tight. It makes me sound like Mickey, but I'm okay. It's not tight, just a little tight. But it's fine. It's fine. It's an okay ride. It's not a great ride. It's an okay ride. It's fun. It's a really old ride. Would I ride it by myself? Maybe. There's almost no line ever there. If I was waiting for Still Vengeance and it was down, I figure, 15 minutes they'll be open, get in line, ride that, and then go ride Still Vengeance. That'd probably be, and my kids want to ride it, or some other adult that doesn't like the big rides, I'll ride it. It's a good ride. I don't really have any reason for it to be a pitch count other than just the better rides at the park. So that's Mine Train 11. In 10th place, I have Blue Streak, which last year had a lot of punch. This year, it's been kind of rough. If you really like rough rides, like Magnum's your favorite ride in the park, sit in the front row of Blue Streak. It bounces off of stuff in the front row. If you're in the 4th row, you can watch the first row just go whoop, whoop, whoop. And you're like, that's why I didn't ride the front row. It's an okay ride. It's not a great ride. The hills aren't super high. It's their only wooden coaster. It's not a super big wooden coaster. And so it's definitely very mid. And that's why it gets in 10th place. I would probably only ride it once a day, maybe twice if I by myself. And I would ride it if I was at Valravn. I rode Valravn or went to the line. Valravn was like, the line was just insane. I didn't want to deal with it. And it's like, oh, hey, I could walk on the Blue Streak. I get an easy ride. In Dungeons & Dragons, we call that attack of opportunity. So I take my attack of opportunity, ride it once in a row. And I could come back later in the day, ride it again. But I'm not a ride I'm going to ride over and over again, just in consecutive, and maybe once or twice in a day. And that's good enough. Or if I ride at 0, I don't really care, because it's at 10th place. Moving on to 9th place. This is the I'm glad this ride is in the park, because this is a gateway ride. It's Rougarou. And when my kid got to the park, I had a few days before my kids came. He had never ridden a ride with an inversion. He was scared to death of doing inversions. And Rougarou is a really great ride to introduce your kiddos to inversions, because the ride itself without the inversions would almost be a kiddie ride. That first drop is a little bit too much to consider that a kiddie ride. It'd be more of a family coaster. So the ride itself is not going to scare them. And so it allows them to get over that fear of inversions. Because the first time he rode it, he was scared to death of inversions. Doing the inversion, he was a little scared. And then he rode it a second time, a third time. By the time he rode it the 4th time, he's like, okay, this is too easy. This ride's boring. Why am I still riding this ride? Which was perfect, because then that allowed me to move him up to Gatekeeper. And then from there, I moved him up to Millennium Force and then Valravn and got him on Still Vengeance. So, hooray! Mission accomplished. Dun 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 dun. Okay, sorry. Wrong music. So Rougarou, it's an okay ride. It's not a super exciting ride. But the great thing is, because it is that gateway ride, it's too big for the little kids, not good enough for the adults. The line's always short. And I think the best time to ride it is when Millennium Force is down and you want to still be in that area, but you don't want to just sit down and do nothing. Go ride Rougarou once, check back on Millennium Force, and then ride Millennium Force. So location is what I'm trying to say. It does have a little bit of roughness, but I don't really notice. If you only ride it once, it's fine. If you ride it twice in a row, you start to feel it. My kid would get nauseous after 2 rides in a row because of the sled amount. And it depends on time of day. In the morning, it seemed to be more rough. In the afternoon, the roughness seemed to go away. So I don't know. Maybe when it heats up, it's fine. But it is a decent ride, but it's just not... It's not a super exciting ride. It's kind of a chill ride, which is great for people who don't really like the big giant drops. It's kind of in the middle. So Rougarou at 9. I hope it doesn't go away. I like the fact that that ride is mid because my youngest boy, I'm gonna need him to ride that at some point to get used to the inversion so I can get him on the big rides. Just saying. Number 8, if you think about it, is actually very similar to Rougarou. Short drops, inversions. I'm talking about Raptor. Raptor's at number 8. Now, I had a problem with Raptor the first time I rode it. I got in the park my first day of 11 days, and in November, I just rode a few of the rides that didn't really have the buckle restraints. So it was my first time with the buckle restraints, and I didn't quite know how to fumble with it. So I was fumbling with it, and the staff came over, and I'm 6'3", if I haven't mentioned. And so with the regular buckle, there was a bit of space that they had to push it down to get the buckle in. And it made my shoulders feel like they were about to be dislocated. I'm like, oh no, this is a DQ. I can't ride this again. I was paying attention as I go. This seems like an okay ride, but I'm so paying attention to the pain that I really can't assess the ride. But you got to give a ride a second chance. So with my kid in the park, a week later, I went ahead and tried it again. Now, I randomly end up in one of the seats for the wider adults, the ones that have 2 buckles. Rougarou has this too, like row 4. And I don't know if this was the contributing factor, but the buckles went straight in this time. Maybe I was more used to them and I was able to do it myself. Or maybe there's just an extra inch of height for the buckles for that one. I don't know what it was, but that one worked perfectly for me. I don't have any problem with Rougarou in any kind of seat. But with Raptor, I had a problem with the normal seat. I don't know if I'd have to maybe try the normal seat again to see if that is in fact the thing. But in the extended seat, it was perfectly fine. And so I got to ride it and enjoy it. That ride is so mid. It's basically Rougarou with a little bit extra. It's Rougarou 2.0. And so it goes right above Rougarou on the listing. Now, if I'm riding it by myself, my pitch count would probably be 1 just because it's not a super exciting ride. And it's in a part of the park where I'm riding Valravn or Gatekeeper. I'm not riding Raptor. I'm just not. Unless, like, there's no line for it, and for some reason, some 30-minute line for Blue Streak. I'm like, ugh, I don't want to walk the back of the park yet. Okay, one ride on Raptor. So not a ride I'm going to ride over and over again. I rode it twice. So Raptor at 8. In 7, I don't know if this is going to surprise people at all or not, but it's going to be Gemini, but with an asterisk. Gemini has 2 cars, a red car and blue car. I am only judging the red car. I am not judging the blue car. Because the blue car is... blue car's rough. It doesn't accelerate the same. It doesn't go down those hills. It doesn't go as fast. It doesn't give you that stomach tingle with the airtime that the red car does. The red car, it has punch. It has a lot of punch, and it's great. I love it. I mean, is it the greatest ride in the world? No, it's old. I suspect it might be on its way out, so enjoy it while you can. But I don't recommend the blue car at all. I only recommend the red car. Front, back, I don't think it really matters much for this ride. I haven't talked about front versus back yet. I'm going to do that when I get to the bigger rides that I've ridden 10, 20, 30, 40 times. This one I haven't ridden. I've maybe ridden 10 times. I don't really see a lot of difference between front and back. I usually run in the back, though, because for some reason it's easier to ride in the back. The red car is not rough. The blue car is rough. And it's a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun. It's a big drop. It's fast. It gives you some great air time. It's not going to do any crazy gymnastics like some of these other rides will. But it is a good ride that I like. And I would ride it over Raptor or Rougarou all the time. So Gemini at 7. All right, now 6th place is going to also come with a big asterisk, even bigger than Gemini. And this one is going to infuriate 30% of 0. Wait, no. I got to work on that 0. Maybe it's because I'm putting things like Maverick in 6. Maybe that's why no one watches my videos. That's probably it. Maverick's at 6. Now, the reason my Maverick is a 6 and there's a big asterisk is because of the shoulder harness. If you're 6'3", that shoulder harness in Maverick is painful. First time I rode it, I was almost in tears by the end of the ride. It really, I could tell that it was a decent ride, but I was not paying attention to the ride. I was paying attention to not dying. The second time, it fit better. I don't know why. It fit better, but it did feel like it got, as the ride went along, that it got tighter and tighter and tighter, and so there was a little bit of pain. Not as much as the first time, so it wasn't as bad. It's an okay ride, but all the elements are very small. They're feisty, but they're small. I call Maverick feisty. And there's a lot of rides in the park that are big, and Maverick just doesn't really grab me as that big ride. Now, if you don't like big drops and you don't like big inversions, this is your favorite ride in the park, guaranteed. But if you do love the big drops, and you love the big inversion, you love the just crazy insanity. I mean, Maverick has some crazy insanity, but it's small crazy and small insanity, not the big crazy, big insanity that some of these other rides give you. Then you're going to have it way up the list. If it wasn't for the shoulder restraint, I would probably have it just over Gatekeeper. But yeah, I've got it at 6. It also has a long line. So this is a ride that if I go back to the park, I'm probably not going to ride. If my kid wants to ride it, I'll ride it one time in the day. Pitch count 1 because of the pain. Pitch count 1. So, I didn't say pitch count for Gemini. I don't really have a pitch count for Gemini. So, all right, in 5th place, Gatekeeper. 5th and 4th were really close to me. I actually flipped them in the middle of the week that I was there, in the middle of the 11 days I was there. The first 4 days, I flipped it. Gatekeeper is a very smooth ride, so it's not rough. It doesn't have any super big drops. The first drop is a pretty decent-sized drop, but it's not super big, and it's not super steep, and so it's an easy drop. It's a very easy drop. And so your kiddos will probably be able to handle it, especially if you've got them used to the inversions, use your Rougarou, like I said before. It does have 6 inversions. The inversions can be kind of intense. But the reason why this gets 5th place is because there is a big difference between whether you're on the inside or the outside of your row. On the inside, the ride is a little bit on the tame side. On the outside, it's a little bit more exciting. I don't know exactly why this is. It's the exact opposite of Thunderbird from Holiday World. So I was expecting it to actually go the other way. So I had a day where I did 3 rides. I did one in the back, in the inside. And I'm like, wait, that's not the ride I remember riding yesterday. What's going on? So then I rode it in the front, really great in the front. I think the front is definitely might be the best. But I rode on the outside. It was a lot more exciting. Now, one thing about the front, or even this applies to the second row too, kind of, is when you go over those inversions, because of the back end's going to slow you down, and you actually kind of stop and hold up for a second when you're upside down in those loop-de-loops. It's amazing. I don't recommend having your kiddos in the first 3 rows the first time they ride. Put them in the back, because in the back, it's more smooth. It goes through those loop-de-loops pretty quickly, and they don't have a lot of time to be scared. So have them ride on the inside in the back, their first ride. Then you can move them up towards the front, keep them on the inside for a few times, and then when they're ready for it, let them ride on the outside. So definite difference between the inside and outside, but because the inside's kind of boring and you're going to get paired randomly most of the time, I moved it down to 5th place. It is a ride I do really like. It does not have a pitch count for me. If there was a Mr. Beast video challenge where I had to ride the Gatekeeper from 8 a.m. to midnight straight with no breaks and not getting off the train and not getting off the ride, I would do it. I would do it. Oh, there's prize money too. I don't care about that. I want to ride the ride over and over and over again. I'm good. I'm cool. The most times I've ridden in a row, though, I think is 5, and I think the most I've ridden in a day is like 7 or 8. But it is a good ride. It is repeatable over and over and over again. It's fun to make funny faces for the camera. The camera is at the end of the loop-de-loop. So you have the first big drop, and then it goes into a loop-de-loop, and at the end of that, you have the camera. For both sides, the camera is going to be on your outside. So if you are on the right side of the train as you're going past the cameras, it's going to be to your right. If you're on the left side of the cameras, it's going to be on your left. So just some knowledge there. The things you think about when you've ridden a ride 30 times. You start making funny faces. The funny faces are fun. Like I said, it's fun to make funny faces for the camera. All right, so that is Gatekeeper at 5. And by the way, of these, Gatekeeper is the first one that is in my top 10 overall, but it's out of 36 rides in 4 parks, so it doesn't really mean much. All right, so in 4th place is Millennium Force. Millennium Force is one of a few rides that looks scarier than it actually is. I'll see these 10-year-olds in line with their parents, and the 10-year-old's like, I don't know, this ride looks like, I'm like, look, this ride looks scary. It's not as scary as it looks. That there's a really cool first drop. It's only 4 seconds, but it's a really tall drop. But you go you go up really quick. That chain pulls you up really super fast. It's actually really cool to watch the chain roll back down the hill after the car's gone when you're in line. But it pulls you up really quickly. And so you're going over the top really fast, especially if you're in the back. And so since it's going over very quick, it doesn't hang you in the air very long. And so you race down that first hill. And it only takes 4 seconds to get the bomb. So it's not a super long drop. It's fairly intense. But if you survive that first drop, the rest of that ride reminds me of a Disney ride called Tron, which is not in my top 20. Out of 36, it's not my top 20. There are some nice ejector moments and some nice airtime after that, but most of that ride is kind of tame after that first drop. But that first drop's so amazing, it puts it really high on this list. I like Millennium Force. The camera, there's 2 tunnels. One you go in kind of early, one you go on very, very late, and you kind of go flat and roll flat for a while before you get into the tunnel. The tunnel's, of course, flat. So you have plenty of time. It's the easiest ride in the park to make funny faces for the camera. Now, one thing about the camera, you'll see the flash on the left side. The camera isn't in the same spot. It's about 5 to 10 feet further up the ride than where the flash is coming from. So if you're looking at the flash, you won't be square in the picture. So just to warn you. But also, front row, blah, blah, blah. Scooby-Doo warning. Front row warning. Rut row. If there are bugs in the area and you sit in the front row, you're going to get covered in bugs. So you might want to sit the front row is really cool, but you might want to sit in the second row. In the front, you do hang over that first drop a little bit longer. In the back, you're going much faster over that top of that hill. There isn't a lot of difference between front and back for this ride, I'll be honest. And the rest of the ride's pretty much the same. So there's not a huge amount of difference. Now, one thing, if you are on the left side of the car, of the vehicle, you'll be in the center of the picture. If you're on the right side, you're going to get cut out. So if you want to be the star of the picture at the end of the ride, right on the left, not on the right. So, expert tips from someone who's ridden the ride like 20 times. Very fun ride, though, which is why I put it at number 4. In terms of pitch count, Millennium Force, I don't really have a pitch count for it. And the lines aren't usually, well, the lines get a little bit longer in the middle of the day, but I don't really have a pitch count for Millennium Force. I'd ride that one over and over. You know, I do a Mr. Beast challenge for that one. That's one I would definitely do a Mr. Beast challenge for. All right, so, and number 3, I love this ride. This is a ride that's good from start to end. It really is. And there's 2 really good drops, a whole bunch of really nice inversions. I'm talking about Valravn. Now, the question is, will Sirens Curse be better than Valravn or less good than Valravn? It's hard to tell from what I've seen of the track that I've seen. It could go either way. But I love Valravn. Valravn's a great ride. And if you're there early in the day or late in the day, at least the days I was there in May, the line, even on Saturdays, the line gets pretty short. To the point where it's almost a walk-on. Or sometimes it is a walk-on. Sometimes it's such a walk-on that you could ride it and there's nobody in your queue, or none of people in your queue, and you get to ride it a second time in a row. They do allow re-rides, but you only do maximum of 1. So if you're the only person in the park, you ride a ride, you can ride it one more time, and then you gotta get off, go back in line, come back up, and ride again. So, but Valravn, I think I've ridden 40 times. The camera is at the bottom of the first drop. So it's kind of, now the drop is very steep for the first half, and then it kind of views out, and so you have some time to, and it's at the back of the drop. So you have a little bit of straightaway and a little bit of shallower drop to be able to make your funny face. Although the shorter restraints kind of make it tough. You can't do anything crazy with your arms. Like you can't, it's hard to dab. But you could do some fun stuff with that one. No pitch count for Valravn. I had days where I rode it 5 times in a row, 8 times in a day. Absolutely love this one. This one doesn't really hurt me at all. So that's one I can just ride over and over again. In fact, if there was a Mr. Beast challenge, I don't know what my fascination with Mr. Beast is right now, but if there was, and it was for the whole park, and you could just pick whatever ride you want and just ride it over and over and over and over again, Valravn, even though it's only my number 3 on my list, would be my number 1 choice to marathon. Because number 1 and number 2 come with a little bit of pain. I love them, but there's a pitch count. Just a little bit of a pitch count. All right, number 2. Top Thrill Dragster 2. Now, I never rode the original one, but from what I've heard of it, and after riding Top Thrill 2, I probably would not have liked the original. At least not very much. I would have liked it some, but it would have been way down my list. It probably would have been below Maverick, to be honest. So, Top Thrill. Why I like Top Thrill. The part of the Top Thrill I like best is the backswing. So, how this ride works is you get up, you get to like they do a light boop, 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 beep, and then you get launched. The acceleration's low. So, this is a ride that looks scarier than it actually is. You know, kids will be like, oh my God, I don't know about your ride. Like, it's nothing. The accelerations on the horizontal, it's basically like accelerating on the on-ramp to a freeway. It's the same. It really is the same. It pushes you back a little bit, but it's not a big deal. In fact, you don't have to do anything funny or weird with breathing or anything like that, like I like to do with drops on roller coasters. You go up the hill a little ways. You stop, you roll back, you go backwards, you accelerate a second time, going backwards. Then you go back up the hill behind you. That, I think, is the best part of the ride, which is a part that the original did not have, from what I've been told. Especially if you're in the back. I love the back the most for this one because you go so far up that hill, the view is amazing. and you stop for a moment, long enough to be really cool and to be able to admire the view, but not long enough, so long that it's going to scare you. This is probably the toughest part of the ride for the kiddos. So the first time your kiddo gets on the ride, don't put them in the first row. The first row is really cool too because there's nothing in front of you. Put them in rows 2 through 4 so they don't go quite as far up that hill to scare them even more. I think that's better. So put them in like row 2. That would be my advice. If you can choose. Sometimes it's hard to do when it's busy, and that ride is always busy. The line is always 2 hours long during the main part of the day. If you try to go in early, it does tend to break down in the morning quite a bit. So just be aware. It can be a ride that's tough to schedule in your busy schedule, especially if you're only there one day. That might be the one ride you buy a single-use Fast Pass for. The Fast Pass gets on really fast. Sometimes we'll walk on. We did one day of Fast Pass, and we did ride 3 times in a row. It was just almost a walk on. Where the regular line was like 60 minutes. So wasn't it? Or no, actually it was less than that. I think it was like 30 minutes. It wasn't a terrible line. It caught it on ran low busy the day where it wasn't super busy. It was super not busy time. So because it was earlier in the morning, it was like 11. Great ride. What about the top hat? You're probably wondering. You go up, it's so fast. It's 4 seconds up. The twist does kind of throw you off because it will throw you out of your chair a little bit. So you have some ejector time going over the top hat. Takes 1 second to go over the top hat and then 4 seconds down. But here's the thing with the drop. You're probably thinking that's going to be a really crazy drop. And it kind of is, but because the track rotates as you go down. When you're looking down, you're not looking down at the ground, you're looking at the track as it rotates. Now, the one thing about the rotation of the track, though, this is what's going to give it a pitch count. When you rotate, it's going to throw you to the side a little bit and put if you're kind of be ejector time, you're going to be out of your seat, it's going to put you the weight of the lap bar on your left thigh. And so if you ride that ride too many times in a row or too many times in a day, you will start to get sore in your left thigh. It's something, if you ride it once or twice, you're going to be fine. I rode it 12 times. I rode it 5 times in one day, 4 times in a row. Because it was just a day where it came up. It went down, it came back up at 6:30 in a weekday where it closed at 8, and people had just left. So it was pretty dead. So my pitch count would probably be, I think 4 times in a row is probably the most I would ride it in a row. I would say probably 8 times in a day would probably be my limit. I hadn't hit that limit. It's hard to because the lines are so long, but you know, if you have a fast pass, you could. I saw a kid that in like a week, I was there at the end of his week, and he rode it 50 times a week. So maybe 10 times for a day in a pitch count. 4 times in a row, it's a lot. Maybe you could get 8 in a row, would probably be okay. Especially if you haven't. Now, there's especially going to be a pitch count if you have ridden a whole bunch of times the next ride I'm going to talk about. The final ride I'm going to talk about. The number 1 ride in all of Cedar Point, according to me. Steel Vengeance takes the top spot. In fact, it's my favorite ride of all whopping 4 parks that I've been to, which is Disney World. I'm just counting all 4 of the Disney World parks as one park. Kentucky Kingdom, Holiday World, and Cedar Point. Hopefully soon we go to King Island and see how that rolls. But I don't expect anything to touch Steel Vengeance. I really don't. Steel Vengeance is a ride that combines everything in the park. It's got the amazing drops of Millennium Force and Valravn. It's got the incredible, it's got even more amazing inversions than Gatekeeper. It's got a ton of ejector time and bunny hills, and it's just a wonderful ride, especially in the rain, especially in the driving rain. You have to be a little nuts to ride that ride in the rain. And I'm just a little bit. Okay, I'm a little bit, I'm a lot nuts. Okay, I'm totally nuts. Completely insane. It's fun. So I rode that ride 23 times, by the way, in 11 days. Yeah, I'm a glutton for punishment. So that's what I love about Steel Vengeance. The one thing I don't like about Steel Vengeance, and it's not the fact that you can't wear ponchos in the line. You have to go hide your poncho somewhere, take it off and hide it somewhere, because the lockers are double-sided, which is really cool. So you go in and you put things in the locker on one side. When you leave the ride, you go back to the locker area on the other side and you pick things up. It's very similar to the Tron lockers at Disney. The lap bar, if you feel the bottom of it, actually curves to the back and it comes down a little bit. So when you hit those ejector times, and I have really big thighs. I'm 250 pounds, but I also have massive thighs, and they're muscle, not fat, so I don't have any insulation. And my thighs run into that. They're mostly putting the weight on the very, like a fraction of an inch on the back of that lap bar. And so I get a sore spot in my thighs, especially combined with the previously mentioned top throw dragster. The left thigh gets very, very sore if you ride it too many times. What is my pitch count for this one? 4 times in a row is as many as I can do. After that, my thighs are just screaming, stop. That's enough. 8 times in a day, my thighs are screaming, stop. That's enough. That's the most I did. I did 4 in a row, did 8 in a day. I would say 15 in a week is probably max for the week, just because I love the ride. I would ride it as much as I could if I could, but the thighs say no. Now, if you don't have big thighs like I do, maybe not. My kid did get his left thigh bruised a little bit between Steel Vengeance and Top Thrill Dragster. I suspect they both worked in coordination. Now, if I didn't ride Steel Vengeance at all, I'd probably be okay with Top Thrill, I think. But too much Steel Vengeance, my thighs say no. It is not even close to the best ride I've ever ridden. My number 2 is Holly World's Voyage, which is an amazing ride, but nowhere near amazing as this. It's like the number 1 seed in an NCAA tournament versus a 14 seed. That's the difference. It really is. It's really that dramatic. I thought it'd be close. It wasn't. It wasn't even close. It's going to be a while before I ride a ride that's better than Steel Vengeance. I know there are a few possibly out there. But I thought it'd go a long ways to get to them. And I'm only at 36. I'm not an enthusiast yet. So I'm working my way up there. We'll see. But, now, the one thing, if you're planning a trip to Cedar Point, there is one thing I need to talk about that you need to be ready for. Because if you aren't ready and you don't plan for it, it is going to mess your trip up completely. Walking. Lots and lots of walking. If you've been to Disney, Disney's a lot of walking. This is even more. If you walk into the park in the front gate, and you decide the first ride you want to ride is Steel Vengeance, it's a 1 mile walk just to get to Steel Vengeance. Not even counting the walk that you're going to do in the queues and in the exit. That's 1 mile already. And then you will go back to front, that's another mile. You can easily walk 6, 7, 8 miles in a day in that park. And if you're not ready for that, your legs are going to be mush. I am kind of ready for that, and after 4 days straight of that, my legs were mush. So there is a solution, especially if you're going multiple days. This doesn't work so much if you're only going 1 day. If you're going multiple days and you're not on a fast pass, emphasize that. I recommend going back to your hotel in the middle of the day. So if you're at a Cedar Point hotel, go early entry, 9 a.m., right 9 a.m. to 10 a.m., park opens, Get those rides in when when people are going into the park and the lengths of lines are short. Once it hits about 11:30, the lines are going to pile up. At that point, you go eat. And then if you can get into a quick line, do it. Otherwise, go back to the hotel, rest, relax, rejuvenate, come back 3-4 hours before the park's going to close, eat something, and then ride the rides as the lines dwindle at the end of the night. Because the most rides you're going to ride are at the start of the day and the end of the day. In the middle of the day, you could easily go 2 or 3 hours and ride one ride, just because you walk around the park for 30 minutes, walk 2 miles, end up where you started, get in line for an hour or 90 minutes, and ride one ride in 2 or 3 hours. It happens a lot. And that is a toll, especially if you're going to be there several days. If you're only one day, go for it. Just blast it out. But if you're going to be there multiple days, it's a marathon, not a sprint. Now, if you have a fast pass, you're not going back to the hotel. If you have an all-day fast pass, you're just going good. Now, if you have an all-day fast pass, my advice to you is don't worry about strategizing which rides to ride when. Make a strategy where you walk the least. I like the strategy of going to the back of the park, go to Maverick, which is the hardest one to ride the fast lane because its fast lane could pile up pretty quickly. Pick a number for the number of times you want to ride it that day and just ride it that many times in a row. Then go to Steel Vengeance. Then go to Top Thrill. And just kind of work your way around the park one ride at a time so that you only have to do one loop. Because if you do a second loop, your legs are going to be trashed the next day. It's absolutely done. My brother and his wife, she had the fast pass for the one day, and they didn't really do much the next 2 days because they were just exhausted after one day. And that's pretty typical. I did track and cross country way a long time ago when I was a kid, so my legs are built for endurance. And even then, I was feeling it. After 11 days, my legs were like, really? Can you please stop? Can you please stop? And so I did. And the shame is most of the best restaurants are at the back of the park. So you're going to do so much walking. There's only one restaurant I liked at all in the front of the park. And even for me, that one's kind of more of an honorable mention. And the best 3 are in the back. So that's Cedar Point for you. If you really want to know what I think of the restaurants, I'll be happy to mention it. But I haven't, eaten at each of the restaurants 10 times. Like, I've ridden Steel Vengeance 23 times and 12 times for Top Thrill and just a bazillion times for Gatekeeper and Millennium and Valravn. But a lot of great rides. 5 of my top 7 are from Cedar Point, which means I need to go to more places, experience more rides. But if you have any questions or comments or anything, feel free to post them in chat. And for my cats that randomly walked across the keyboard and somehow become this, meow, 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 meow. I hope I said that right. It doesn't matter. The cats don't care. The thing about cats, they don't care. You think they do, they do not. They care about their food. That's it. And belly rubs. Food and belly rubs. That's it. And lasers. Oh man, this is going off the rails. Okay, I'm at 50 minutes, so I'm going to stop it there. For those waiting for the finale of the board game tournament, that's why we haven't posted it yet. I was at Cedar Point for 11 days. So we're halfway through the championship, not round, but it's a 5-game series. So we're halfway through the series. So that'll be probably a week from now. So for those who weren't wondering about that, which is probably nobody. Nobody knows what my videos are about, because who would actually be still watching at this point in time? I mean, nobody. I know who. The people who ride Steel Vengeance in the driving, pouring rain and wind. Those are the people that are still watching. Wait, that means it's just me. Well, goodbye then.